Welcome everyone to the NWACS evening seminars, the first seminar of 2023. We're so excited to present for you this evening's, the spring's series of seminars. We have 4 of them. This is the first, and please check our website so you can see our other topics. Tonight, we'll be presenting on AAC for Early Intervention, Foundations for Teaching, Initiation, and Social Engagement through Gestures and Affect. And here is why I wanted to present this. We know that AAC benefits young children, and we know that there are no prerequisites and no age restrictions for AAC. If you Google AAC myths, if this is a new topic for you, and you Google AAC myths, you'll see many, many different webinars and information about what people presume to be true, which is not true. And so I encourage you to look those up if you're interested. And so we know AAC benefits all children. This includes what we would call aided AAC, which is where we give something to the child, such as switches or picture symbols, or what we call tangible symbols, or what we call a voice output system, or a speech generating device. And we're actually not going to talk at all about those added or aided AAC things. But if you are interested in that topic, we have our own Special Education Technology Center here in Washington State, and they have a really nice video. Oh, and I will add, this slide deck will be available on our website following the evening, so you can pull out the slide deck to refer back to it. So we know that for some children, their individual differences, their sensory, their motor, their vision, they can be barriers to accessing aided AAC. So they're not showing they can access switches or access or see picture symbols in a meaningful way. And what often happens with these kids, you'll put a switch down and they're more interested in the playing with the cable, or they're more interested in kind of hearing the tapping of the switch or the sound of the switch. And for picture symbols, you'll see this as these kids are, if it's on Velcro, you can they'll rip it and they'll crumple the Velcro because they like the way it feels. Or if it's laminate, they'll slide their hand on the laminate and then maybe throw it because it looks really fun when you throw it in the air. And so their sensory motor vision, their individual differences aren't allowing them to kind of access the stuff that you want them to access. So that is why we are here today. Also, if you could all check your audio and make sure you're all muted, that'd be super helpful. Okay, so the agenda for tonight is to look at different communication programs that emphasize pre-symbolic communication. That is communication through vocalizations, gaze, or gesture. And I wanted to do this because there are many well-researched, evidence-based early intervention programs that target initiation and engagement. So we're just going to look at a few of those and compare and contrast them pretty briefly. And then we're going to do a quick discussion about what it means to recommend multimodal communication. And then hopefully you'll walk away understanding 5 different strategies, at least, that you can try to encourage initiation and engagement. So we all know this, hopefully, before a child uses words, they use gestures. And we count all of these as gestures. Eye contact, facial expressions, body postures. The child with the facial expression is also using the hands as a gesture. The boy in the orange Halloween shirt, he is pointing as a gesture. And the boy sticking his foot out is a body posture, is a gesture. Hey, tickle my foot, right? So that's what we mean when we talk about gestures. Okay, and so here are some examples of programs to support communication early childhood. And I'm gonna give you an overview so you can kind of I'm a big picture thinker, so I like to know, hey, what's the point? I pulled 6 different early intervention programs, or I should say, I pulled 6 different kind of early childhood programs, not just birth to 3. Um, these 2 in particular focus on birth to 3. So the Hannon program um, and the curriculum both are specifically targeting early childhood or that birth to 3 age range. And what I'm asking you to look at is what are the things that the basic principles, what are the basic characteristics of these programs? Because they all share similarities. So in Hannon, what are they asking you to do? Well, they're asking you to recognize a child's communication signals. Aha, signals, gestures. They're asking you to identify what motivates your child to communicate. Then to use the strategy of follow your child's lead. And then thinking about your home routines and helping your child participate in that routine going back and forth. And then Hannon supports simplifying how you talk to your child so that they can support understanding and use of language. In the play curriculum, this is what they list: understanding your child's cues. Whoa, that's the same thing as gestures, as communication signals. Identifying your child's preferences. Same thing as what motivates your child. Establishing predictable routines. Right? You're getting the theme that I'm like, I'm showing you the similarities. Establishing turn taking and encouraging communication initiations. So here are 2 curriculums that are very similar and have great research and evidence behind them. These 2 in particular also support early childhood or communication, but they're a little bit different. In the pre-linguistic milieu teaching, there it is again: arrange the environment, follow your child's lead, build social routines. But in this particular model, instructional model, they have that the goals can increase the frequency of nonverbal communication, but also they state the ideal participant should have some expressive vocabulary. So they should already be using words or signs or pictures, or symbols is what we call it. So in this particular model, ideally, they would like a child to be already using some of the words, signs, or pictures. And then part of their instruction is so that then you can imitate the motor acts or the sound acts of speech or sign. They also have some instruction around getting an object contingent on looking at it, right? And they also allow for prompts, models, and then use of natural consequences. In the Penn State University program, this is actually a specific one for AAC. And again, they identify context, which means they identify the routines in the household, making sure they have effective means, which means having vocabulary, having a way to express themselves. So these 2 are a little bit higher than the first 2 that we just looked at. And then finally, here are 2 examples of programs that support early communication through social emotional development. So the biggest difference between the first 4 and these 2 are that they're promoting communication, but the communication is 100% embedded in the social emotional relationship. The first one is a DIR floor time approach, where the first part is what we call self-regulation or interest in the world, helping your child to show an interest in the world. and then helping your child to engage and relate, and then helping your child to stay with you, intentionally using purposeful two-way communication. And at this stage of DIR floor time, they're not saying talking, they're not saying signs, and they're not saying pictures. They're saying really pre-symbolic gestures, all of the stuff that was on that slide with the pictures, the pointing, the touching, the looking, the sticking out your foot. And only then at complex communication and shared problem solving, or using symbols and creating emotional ideas, are they looking to bring in perhaps some symbol use, spoken word, signs, or pictures. And then the CERTS model is also very similar. And CERTS stands for social communication. So the communication is embedded in a social relationship. Emotional regulation, where you're working with the child to help them stay regulated. And then transactional support. And if you want any more information on any of these, the websites are there for you. So why did I want to do this? Well, I gotta turn the page. I wanted to share these because there's a really good research base. Each one targets slightly different needs based on where the child is developmentally. And so when you're thinking about maybe looking more further into one of these programs, you need to take into consideration a child's individual differences, their sensory, their motor, their vision, their hearing preferences. And then you need to consider that, in my opinion, the most important variable to this population that we're talking about is building a safe and trusting relationship. So the rest of this program is really going to be looking at communication at that pre-linguistic level, really embedded in a social relationship. There it is. Okay. I wanted to comment, we're going to get to the meat, which is the videos, in just a minute. I wanted to comment on recommending multimodal communication. In my work at Seattle Children's, where we do a lot of AAC evaluations, when the child is under the age of 5 or so, I almost always recommend multimodal communication. And I do this, and what I mean by that is I recommend something that has to do with vocalizations or speech, something that has to do with your gestural system or sign language, something that has to do with low-tech AAC, and then if the child is showing the ability, something that has to do with high-tech AAC. And I do this because it affirms for our families that we are working on building successful communication. We're going to try everything, and we're going to see what bubbles up to the top. What is the strongest modality? We also know that kids communicate differently in different settings, at home versus at school. At home, they may be more gestural, or they may have some speech, but it's not understood clearly. And so we want to recommend all of these strategies, multimodal communication, because the child can then pull on what they need to communicate in different settings with different partners. I also make this recommendation because it affirms for our families that we are not abandoning speech development. There still is a longstanding fear that AAC will replace a child's ability to speak, that we know is a myth. And from our research, AAC actually encourages speech development. And then finally, recommending multimodal communication gives families a variety of different strategies to try at home. We know home life is busy, and then communicating is dependent on different contexts and routines, so that we can recommend, using your voice or what we call vocal reciprocity, while you're in the bathtub, but you're going to use your pictures or your gestures, while you're tucked in bed. And so I want to encourage you all, the therapists out there, to think about not just recommending one small thing, like we're going to go with a speech device, versus no, we're going to actually do all of these different things because this is the best way to support a child's total communication. So that's a little bit, that's a soapbox of mine. So thank you for letting me share that. Okay. So strategies for initiation and engagement. Here's the magic 8 strategies that I'm going to read through, and then we're going to just watch some videos. And at the end of each video, I'm going to stop sharing and maybe ask you to comment on what you saw in the video that was a part of this list. And so if you have a paper and pencil handy, you can write some of these down so you can refer to them. So the first thing I like to recommend to families is to stop talking. And I always get weird side glances when I make this recommendation. And this is the opposite of what's recommended in like a Hannon approach, where you want to talk and provide your child with language. However, for some of our kids who have these individual differences, these unique sensory profiles, I say, hey, let's just stop talking. Let's just, the second one, let's just stop talking and slow down. And not only slow down, but slow down way slower than you think you should slow down. This is so hard. So hard for us speech therapists, and hard for a lot of our families. And then the term that I like that I'll share with you, which is a DIR floor time term. It's called wait, watch, and wonder. Now, we often tell families, follow your child's lead, but I think that's really hard. How do you do that? And how you do that is through wait, watch, and wonder. So I've stopped talking, I slow down, I wait, I watch my child. And I wonder to myself, I wonder how I can join my child in what they're doing, not suggest something else, not change what they're doing, just join them in what they're doing. And by joining them in what they're doing, by wondering, then now you can, oh, they're walking around the room. They're walking around the room. Oh, I could follow their lead, and you could join them. You could walk with them, right? And so what following your child's lead does, it increases their ability to initiate, because you're not jumping right in and asking them to do something, in which case they're responding to you. So if you're stopping talking, slowing down, wait, watch, wonder, follow your child's lead, at some point, your child has the opportunity to initiate to you. And this in turn allows you to build a trusting relationship. The DIR floor time approach also they have a lot of lingo, which I love. They call it wooing, or use of high affect. And so let's say you are following your child's lead and they are walking around the room or running around the room. In order to get them to pay attention to you, you have to do a little bit of wooing. And in order to do that, you have to present high affect with your face or with your voice. And so if I'm walking and following a child, I might jump in front of them and go, oh, and then laugh, and they're walking. And I might jump in front of them and go, oh, and then laugh, and maybe they'll smile a little bit, but they're still walking, right? So I'm trying to woo them a little bit into interacting with me. I have 3 other strategies that I like to share. One is using objects or toys. And one of the things that happens with some kids is that they have a toy. Here's some toys. They have some bugs, and now they're paying attention to the object, but they're not paying attention to you, right? So you can use your hands, your voice, and your affect to encourage their attention. moving from the bugs that they're looking at, maybe back to you. And how I might do that is, it's just they're playing and they're looking at the bugs, and I might have this bug, and when they go to reach for it, I reach for it, and I go, uh-oh, there's a bug up ahead, right? So I'm taking what they like and I'm wooing and using high affect to try to bring their attention to me. Now, for some kids, they still don't look at you. They just want that bug and they're not looking at it. And so my suggestion in that case is to don't use any objects or toys. You use yourself, your hands, your voice, silly social actions like tickling, chasing, hugging, squeezing, so that you are showing your child you are the most fun thing. And then finally is to make your hands available, because we know a lot of our kids will take your hand and put it someplace, like, you know, on your head for a head squeeze. But they can't do that if they don't see your hands. And so just wherever you are, if making sure your hands, they can see your hands, having them kind of out where they can see them or touch them. So that is the most that I will talk. I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. And I'm going to bring up some videos, and we're going to go video by video. Oops. Coming in a moment. Here's the first one. Casey, can you see this okay?
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm just going to play it, and you guys can think about and tell me what you see. Here we go. Bumping up and down in my little red wagon, bumping up and down in my little red wagon, bumping up and down in my little red wagon, won't you be my darling? Yeah, one wheel's off and the wagon's sagging, one wheel's off and the wagon's sagging, one wheel's off and the wagon's sagging, won't you be my darling? More. Bumping up and down in my little red wagon, bumping up and down in my little red wagon, bumping up and down in my little red wagon, won't you be my darling? I'm trying not to take the kick. I'm trying to take the whole body. Are you done with that one? Okay, that's my sweater. Let's do a different song. Let's do a different song. I'm gonna switch you here. Give me your legs. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. Oop. If you want to bump, we can bump. Here, can I have your hands? Thank you. That was beautiful. She's been learning that one. Okay, let's do open, shut them. I need the other hand. Okay, ready? Ready for open, shut them? Thank you. Okay, I'll stop it there. And anybody want to chime in and tell me what you saw?
I can go. You just want me to name one, or because I have several?
No, definitely name them all.
So obviously wait time. She acknowledged her physical request. Then she eventually added the word more with her physical request, and she imitated her laugh.
You're right. Excellent. Yeah, all of those. Thank you. Initiation, right? Joint attention. So you're right on that. I was following her lead. I was waiting for her. So kind of a wait, watch, and wonder. Actually, stop talking. Yes, high affect, wait, watch, and wonder. Follow the child's lead. This is a routine that we had done previously. High affect. Yeah, you're all right on that. I want to make sure I got everybody in the chat. Perfect. Thank you, Michelle, for sharing. I appreciate that. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Let's see if I can find another one. Let's do.
You're waiting. Oh, what are they doing here? You're gonna say bye. Bye.
I want to add one thing here, which is the noise that you hear is actually not this teacher or this child. The noise is in the background. So don't worry that you can't hear what's happening. Just use your eyes.
Not yet, we're waiting. Why are you following Maddie around today? Yeah. Oi, that was cheeky. Yeah, I saw that.
Did you all see what happened right there? She made her hands available and he grabbed her hand because he really liked that action. So I'm gonna just play it for a few more seconds. I turned the sound off.
That's a nice game.
Okay, that's great. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing. Who would like to comment on that one?
I can. I really liked seeing how she was kind of getting involved with that, like what a lot of people would consider like sensory seeking behavior or maybe stimming, because a lot of times I see people trying to redirect away from that, even though that's what the student's interested in. So I really liked her just kind of inserting herself into that and building a routine and a joint engagement interaction around that.
Thank you. Much appreciated that comment about just joining in what he is interested in doing. And his signals were looking at her and then reaching for her hand. Anybody else want to comment on that one? Eye contact, yes. Imitation, yes, she was imitating him, and therefore they were engaging, right? Just by the tiniest signals, the eye contact and the waiting, pulling her hand back and waiting, that was the wooing, right? That was where she was like, up. And then he had to come in and grab her hand to get it to go. And in this way, they're having a dance. They're dancing through that interaction. I want to make sure I got everybody's leading the child. The child was actually leading her, right? The child was initiating, the child was showing what he wanted, and then she was following the child. Let's do another. Oh, and in both of these videos so far, no objects, no toys, right? So let me see if I can find a video with a toy.
Arms. Now, are your arms up here?
No.
Are they down?
I'm with you, baby. I'm with you.
Here?
No.
No, they're kind of up here by your shoulders. So just kind of underneath your head.
Whoa,
So
nice.
go ahead, thank you, Tim.
Okay, kiddo. Very nice. Ooh, nice.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, that's that one. Stop. What did we see? Anybody want to jump in? That was a fast one. Yeah. Thank you, McKenna. Wait, watch, and wonder. High affect. Yeah, absolutely. So turn taking. Yes, absolutely. So he's requesting more of the lights. The ball would go off, and then the child wanted more. So the partner, because we're really looking at the partner, well, we're looking at the child. The partner was waiting, wait, watch, and wondering, waiting for the child to do something. And the child's ball stopped. So that now, instead of the partner jumping in and saying, oh, do you want more? Can you give it to me? She just waited. She just waited. And her hands, I don't know if you all saw that, her hands were right there, right on him. So he knew to pick up the hand and like put the ball in her hand. So she didn't have to say, do you want more? Give me the ball. Where's the ball? Right? She didn't have to say any of that. He knew to pick up her hand and put the ball in it just because of he uses hands as tools. So he knows, hey, I'm going to communicate to you that I want more ball. Anybody else for that one? Let me look. Yeah, she was commenting on, she was providing the language to his activities. That's exactly right. She was commenting on him, and she was providing some really nice feedback. Like, that's right. Just very fun, very simple. Lights. Yeah. Yeah. She was commenting on that. Okay, I'm going to do another one.
Look at you. You are too funny. My turn.
So that goes by super quick. But you can see that what he's doing is gesturing for her to continue the clapping by moving his hands. So he's using a natural gesture of saying, hey, I really like this. I want more. And she's doing the same thing in the other. She's just naturally commenting, oh, you're so funny. And he gets this big smile. And so this is a beautiful interaction that is, the child is allowing this teacher into his world. She is joining him in play. And he is signaling her that he is enjoying this and he wants this to continue. Anything else you want to comment on that video? Let's see, there's one thing in the chat. She has skills. Yeah, she does. I appreciate that comment. It is a skill. It's so hard to not talk, and it's so hard not to insert your own agenda into an interaction, and to just continuously be with the child and be where the child wants to be. Any other comments on that one? Okay, I'm going to go on to another one. I have a couple more now. I have to say, a lot of these come from different online videos, video banks. And one online videos is the Texas School for the Blind. And so when I pulled them up right before our talk tonight, they're actually not loading. And they were just fantastic videos. So I'm going to see if I can get at least one or two of them to play. Let's try this one. Yeah, so most of the videos aren't. So I would say to you, there was this video? No, hold on. There's one video of an older child, and they were putting on makeup, and it was just so fantastic. If this is the Texas deafblindproject.org, and they have all these video banks. And so the video links that I have on my slide deck, one of those will go to this young adult who is doing this beautiful job of using her voice of saying, I want more. And the teacher applies eyeshadow. And then she goes, ah, and the teacher applies more eyeshadow. And so she's just simply using her voice to engage in a back and forth interaction. And I apologize that I can't play that for you. Let's try this one. Let's see what happens here. Let's see if it plays. Okay, I love that. Love that. I'm so glad I found that one and could show that one to you. Okay, he did 2 signals. Who could say what those 2 signals were? They were really subtle. What did he do? Yeah, one of them was he used his voice. And then there was one other. Yeah, exactly. Her hands were available. And so she wooed him a little bit. And then he reached over and grabbed her hand. Yeah, reached and grabbed her hand. Thank you. See, you got it. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm just going to our chat because I see there's some comments. Yes, the links are on the slides. Yes, the slide deck will be available on our website after the talk. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to start sharing my slide deck again. And hopefully you were able to see all of these. Any questions? And we can save those for the end actually, because we're just gonna wrap up about these. So think for a moment, we're gonna slow down and we're gonna think through, like, do you think that you have a child or a student that you know would benefit from using some of these strategies for helping that child to learn to initiate and then stay engaged with you? So I'm going to let you think that through, and I'm going to slowly go to the next slide. There's my video clips. And so in summary, certainly you need to know where your child is developmentally in order to support their communication growth. And I'll just remind folks to make sure they're muted. Thank you. And so for some of our kids, we may be showing them picture symbols, and they're, you know, we just, for 6 months or, you know, the whole IEP period, we're just not seeing the sort of initiation and engagement that we want. And so you really need to think through, like, where is that child developmentally? And then you need to consider the child's individual differences when thinking about what AAC systems or strategies to use. Maybe you don't start with picture symbols immediately. Maybe you start with more of that gestural system. As I said before, I believe you really need to build a trusting relationship, and that relationship comes through this pre-symbolic communication. I really believe that this is vital to the child's social and emotional growth, because you are building with them and helping them to initiate and engage with you on their terms, versus I have something in my head, I have an agenda, I want them to follow me. And then the final piece is to remember to think about multimodal communication, that we can introduce aided AAC, pictures and switches, but not to the exclusion of supporting this pre-symbolic communication system. And I believe I have a few references that I didn't already say, and that is the end of my talk tonight. We do have plenty of time for questions and comments, and even if somebody wants to